Hey, well, first of all, I'd like to say, and I is gonna find me, because I want to be a part of this fucking dumb wannabe tennis tour.
You know, I think they got his testicles so far up their mouths that this is bullshit, you know?
I'm not thinking about that right now. I'm just thinking about having won the world title and hopefully trying to win another one someday. You just drop in and just smack the drop down, say bah! Well, I'll tell you, Stu, I did battle some humongous waves.
Oh, just a paper, please?
Oh, surf looks good on it.
Not bad.
Ain't that swell? With Jed and Vaughn.
Oh, those guys are back!
Get a haircut.
Nevsy, welcome, mate.
Thanks for having me.
Good to have you here, bro. We're just reminiscing about the kind of early part of my career, which intersected with, I guess, not quite the early part of yours, but pretty early. Modern Collective was like, you know, not like you'd already had some major successes by that point, but that was like your kind of your first major film, was it? I mean, you had Campaign and where you worked on Campaign, and you had your own film before that.
Yeah.
It was, what was the Stranger Than Fiction, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, yeah, Stranger Than Fiction.
Sorry, Under the Taylor Steele.
Yeah, it was under
Poor
It was
Specimens.
under Poor Specimen, but
You had heaps before that with ASL and
yeah, I guess I did. There was shitloads of work and films, but this was my first kind of, I think, legit surf film on like a global scale where it wasn't just, I don't know, East Coast of Australia. Even though I think those ASL DVDs definitely, I was surprised at over the years, some people everywhere overseas who kind of like, you know, grew up on them as well. But yeah, Modern Collective was the first, basically Taylor gave me the keys to just do what I want to do. And which is a massive punt. Like I was early 20s, but off the back of working on Stranger Than Fiction, you know, I did the filming, the editing. He let me choose the music, the art direction I was helping out with a little bit, not so much, you know, my full direction, but he'd be asking heaps of questions and very collaborative. And then post that film, I was like, I'm not going to do that again. I just felt like I was ready to like really put a stamp on something. And Taylor's, he's a great operator. I was almost ready just to go off by myself, but he was like, no, let's do a film together. You do you, I'll help fund it through. He had everything set up, distribution, funding, and didn't ask too many questions.
wow.
Didn't even have much feedback. It was great.
That's epic.
Yeah.
And Modern Collective, man, a totally groundbreaking film for its time. Like, it was the first film I can remember in the kind of modern era where you handpicked exactly the surfers you want with a concept in mind and a brand of surfing in mind. And those surfers were like so high profile for the time. It's kind of crazy. I can't think of a better team of surfers than that. Maybe you got to go back to like the Billabong Super Challenges when you had like, you know, Curran and Oki and like Machado and shit. But it was that kind of spec. Like, although weirdly, like a lot of those guys, they didn't go on to achieve the competitive success we might have thought at the time. But fuck, man, from just a raw performance perspective, it was a mind-blowing film.
Yeah, I think it was in regards to competitive success, I think the like Dream Tour was changing a lot anyway at that moment, and free surfing was it was big, you know, there was big contracts still with free surfing, and with that film I wanted to set, you know, some sort of parameters, not just go out there and shoot shit and put it together. Nothing wrong with that. I still do it today, but I wanted to be really clear on like how many surfers, what the format was, location based, what the look and feel. Whatever happened on the trip sort of happened on the trips. It's a surf film, but it's funny, like, because they weren't the best surfers in the world. Like, you still had like Mick, Joel, Dean, Kelly, Taj, like those guys were fucking the best. And I was looking up to those guys, but I had this thing of I always loved watching, especially as a kid, young, even from like the junior series in Australia when that was pumping, but like watching the young progressive surfers, and the whole like premise of that film was just progression. And those guys from Dane to Dusty, they were doing rodeos and shit, you know, like it was like that the airs were tech, and that was what I wanted to sort of document and kind of share. It felt different, and I was into it.
So different. Like the difference between the style of surfing of Mick and Joel at that point on the world tour, which was considered, the pointy end of high performance surfing, versus what you showcased in Modern Collective. They're worlds apart. Just the most poppy, tail high, progressive surfing, and a lot of it done in pretty like relatable quality conditions. You know, like not like all-time firing waves, like kind of wedgy, rampy kind of conditions, and it was the most exciting team of surfers in the world at that point. Not like the most comp savvy or successful or high profile, but undeniably on the come up. And if you were in the culture and a part of surfing at that point, you knew that these guys were like, they were breaking new ground. It was. Yeah, I guess the next stage of evolution from your bicycle, your 7 days, 7 slaves, that kind of punk, but progressive style of surfing.
Yeah, like Parker was still doing probably some of the biggest lofty airs, like sick. Aussie's just Aussie. He's a fruitcake, like in regards to like progression. But like, I think especially the guys that Dane, I see, it was all about like full rotations at that time. And it was like, if you're not doing full rotations and stomping out on the flats, and it was like technical, everything had to be very, tail high and stylish, and like the grabs, like we were just thinking a lot about, that's how good surfing got. Like those guys were like pushing each other and probably pushing a lot of other surfers through the films to like really explore that style of surfing and what waves cater for that. We were still kind of finding out too. Like, I think we found out through the film, and we got lucky on various trips of what were like really good canvases to like, do a massive air reverse or even just a big alley-oop. Like, and it was reef breaks onshore, like, and through luck, through going to locations, like one of the locations we went to was like St. Lou, because I was like, we need a left point in the film.
Yeah.
I remember watching like Sarge's scrapbook and shit back in the day, and like crew just tearing this left point apart, and it kind of looked like macaronis, but a different landscape and a different backdrop, which I was like, oh, that's cool. It's going to look fresh. We went there. The point was fat. It was going out to sea. It was offshore.
It does go out to sea a bit that way.
It so goes out to sea. You got to get the double ups in between the sets. It's like, reminds me of Jake's a little bit, like Cowbarry. Like, you get those ones that like after the third wave of the set or something that's hugging the reef a bit more, and you can like bash a few turns. But I was like, oh, this is pretty like lackluster and like flat, and we spent 2 days trying to like shoot it, talking to some locals, and I don't even know. Yeah, it was before. I don't think we were Googling much back then, but there was like, we did a day of checking other waves, and we walked out to the harbour at that St. Pierre wave, which gets really good like barrels when it's clean and the swell's smaller. It's a bit of a magnet on the other side of the island, which meant it was straight onshore, because it was like the prevailing winds were offshore at St. Lou. And like Geordie didn't even want to come that day. He was just like, nah, bro, like I'm here to like get clips at like St. Lou. You guys are tripping. So I went there and I shot it with Colborne and Craig, and it was Mongo ramps. Like, we were like, this wave's fucked up. Like, you got to come back. And we showed him some clips, and he was like, oh, fuck, bro. Like, it's like he got all excited, and we got lucky. There was places a magnet, so it's just cop swell no matter what, and the wind stays onshore. So we had like 4 days of the same conditions, and the boys just went to town.
Mate, that's one of the great sections, and one of the most unexpected sections, coming out of reunion. We only really know St. Lou, and then Geordie and Ando and Colborne. I mean, Geordie in particular puts on a clinic. That's like some of the craziest surfing that had ever been done at that point. Like it's nuts. Big man just rotating and over rotating through the air, like huge, crazy oops, wasn't it?
Yeah, and still doing like big carves and big tail blows. Yeah, oops. He was kind of doing it all and like landing so clean and so stylish. He was on fire. He was on fire.
Yeah. Fuck, that's one of the best sections in the film. And yeah, you're so right. Like, you reimagined the kinds of conditions that suited that style of surfing and just surfing in general. Like, you guys were hunting onshore mega ramps, and that was like, just hadn't really been done at that point.
It was like the timing was pretty good, and that was just through discovery and just through progression, you know, and like we thought the pinnacle was like onshore beach breaks, like Hossegor and shit when it was onshore because it was punchy. You can throw up like big air bowls, but like, yeah, onshore reefs, even like North Point, like that session at North Point, we were like, these ramps are so big and like, yeah, just it kind of was just like opened up something of where we could take it for sure.
And what were the conversations like with the surfers? Like, were you kind of spelling out directly what you wanted from them, like strategizing, like, you know, and who in that team, you know, was really good to work with, had kind of input? I mean, some of these guys, like, I think of Reynolds in particular, like the guys, you know, like so opinionated, so like artistic and cultured and such a passionate surfing purist. He's got so many ideas about the kind of surfing he wants to do. Yeah, what was it like, the conversations behind the scenes?
I guess overall pretty seamless, and that's why I think I chose the right sort of guys, because they were trying to do that sort of style of surfing. You know, they were trying to get. They all grew up watching like Taylor Steele films and shit. They wanted to get the most progressive, you know, bangers that they could to kind of put out there in a film. So we're all pretty like in sync with where we were kind of going to get clips. It was like we did trips to like Cabo, and it was, you know, it was a surfer mag trip. Evan Slater sent us there. And again, it was like, spoke about it before, it was like fat, clean points. And we were just over it. And I think that's when I linked up with Travis Ferreira, and he was just like, oh, I need to put you with Travis. You guys just fucking do you. But like on the inside of one point break, we found this punchy left kind of end section where the fat right sort of linked up, and it was like a sick air bowl. So like me and the surfers, we knew what we were going to get. I guess the direction and the style of like the film was very me. And I was pretty green and just I just had a vision, and that was like, I kind of had blinders on of like what I wanted it to look like. So I wasn't, they were kind of just, they had a bit of trust in me, which is really cool, of like what modern collecting was going to look like. In regards to what we were capturing, we're all sort of working together with the waves. But yeah, on Dane, on that question, yeah, I think he was still trying to figure out who he was at the time as well. And he wasn't quite there. Post that film, it was like the marine layer years, and like Dane just kind of, I got to do my thing to like
1,000 ambivalent contest results, like just fucking losing countless heats, needing a 4, going for 10s, like hilarious shit, but still doing the best surfing on tour by a mile at that point.
Unbelievable. And that was cool to see. And that sort of even in all the stuff that he did inspired me. Like he was a big influence. I had to like not watch too many of his like clips because I'll be like, fuck, I don't want to like bite your steers. You know what I mean? Like you're like, fuck, you're one of the best surfers in the world. And now you're putting out some of the best content, like, and changing the way the content landscape was from like one film a year sort of release. Yeah.
And how did you go managing all the personalities? Like everyone was so young, and like, you know, Geordie was peak Geordie at this point, like super high profile, massive contracts, like huge expectations, you know, so full of himself. It's fucking hilarious. Yeah. And then, you know, like, Dusty, like a classic kind of Hawaiian, just older than a Grom, but like, again, like so like kind of sure of himself at that point. And fuck, it must have been wild. You know, I was on that trip to the Goldie at the end. You had the whole team there, and it was a fucking awesome, like, classic trip to be a part of. Fucking, I remember just like the Hazards and Yaden just like bullying Geordie relentlessly. He fucking bailed to Sydney at some point. Fucking what else happened on that trip? Well, yeah. Rocked up. I was meant to sleep at Dion's. Didn't leave the key out for me. Had to rip a sheet off his neighbour's fucking clothesline and just slept on his front doorstep like a cat. Yeah. Yeah. What else? Fuck. I mean, some incredible surfing at Stratty. But like to see and like, you know, Dion and Dusty kind of getting off each other at different points over like, you know, just dynamics in the surf, various, you know, classic politics around who's up and who's not, and all that kind of shit. Like, I don't envy her dealing with fucking like athletes of that level at that point in time, so young and so cashed up, and
I wouldn't do it now.
Fuck.
I would fucking couldn't sign myself up to do that again.
Wild.
Yeah, just again, I think, being young, your kind of tolerance and just I was so driven to get good product and get a good film. So it's just constantly managing personalities. Fucking you know what I mean? It's like good waves always helps. Keep surfing clips, like always trying to filming. I mean, those guys still wanted to party hard. They wanted to get girls. Like, they're all single, you know what I mean? So, like, there was lots of fun in and around the filming, but I always had, like, they knew if they came on a trip with me, probably from, like, the Taylor Steele's trips and stuff, is, like, it was still to go to work and, like, get clips and, like, maybe mid-trip or maybe the tail end of the trip we'll have a few blowouts, like, go pretty big. But we still got to get the job done. Otherwise, what are we doing? Like, a fucking waste of time. But I don't know. Just keep give them a few beers, feed them full of beer, and like keep shooting surfing and like just keep them motivated and watch. Maybe throw a few surf films on and just keep eat good food, hitting the bakery. Just keep them busy and listen to all the shit goes on. They all different personalities, but they all like got on pretty well. Which is pretty cool. And like even I think after the fact, like years later, even though it might have been towards the end of the projects, it could have got pretty over each other, but like they've stayed like pretty good friends. There's like inside jokes that like, still hold true and like everyone's on like pretty good terms and we had a good time. Like I wanted it to be fun as well. Not like, fuck, this is a slog. It's always got to be fun.
Totally. Such a good point. And yeah, I mean, you had like 6 surfers, getting blind, surfing, like there's going to be some minor chafing. It's inevitable. We put 6 people of any description together and like that's all fucking part of it. But yeah, what else on that show? Oh, mate, shout out to Travis Frey too. Like, fuck, that guy's a legend, man. He was so good to me in the early part of my career.
Cool.
Fuck, he looked after me a few times when the chips were really down.
Yeah.
But so how did that change things for you, man? Modern Collective comes out, like it hits hard. Like that was a huge film for its time.
Yeah.
You can kind of forget it in the, looking at all the films you've put out since, but like that film was massive. Probably hit the hardest out of any of the films you've had, do you reckon, or hard to say?
I mean, hard for me to say, but I'd say, it was a big shift in what else was out there, I'd say, in regards to especially the music and the look and the surfers. Like it was very different and it could have been a hit or miss, like who knows? I kind of just went for it and I think this is sick. I'm my small circle loves it and I don't know how everyone else is going to respond. But the response I think was pretty good. There was definitely maybe some older generations were like, what the fuck is this? But I think internationally, it like really popular European audience, US audience. Sometimes I feel like they can even be more conservative in like what they like and don't like or opinionated, but they took it on and like loved it. And yeah, young kids seemed like they were pretty frothing on it. So
must have been satisfying because you took some risks creatively with the art direction. Yeah, the soundtrack's super fun. I wasn't expecting like these kind of like Latin jams throughout it, and
did some pretty wild shit. Like even like the whole concept and the whole visual concept, which is sick. I'm glad I did it, but like I was even like styled the boys' wardrobe and stuff at the start. Like they were, like it was just things I wouldn't do now. For sure. Like I was just like, no, it's going to be sick, boys. Look at it. Like, it's like, this like visually it's more of like, you guys are I was almost treating it like they were a brand, like it's like picture it as just a brand, like Modern Collective, like a bit more of like a dreamscape. Like you guys, because it's not like a Quicksilver film. It's not a Billabong film. This is your film. This is us. And, so that's kind of the way I was branding them in a sense. Yeah,
it's a sick concept, like because the branding, the visuals, like the lads stand around the pyramid and stuff. It's like super futuristic. It's like it doesn't belong in any era. It's just kind of like space age shit, which funnily enough like connects so hard to the absolute pure core of surf culture, which is it's a futurist fucking pursuit, man. It's always been about cutting edge design, travel, spirituality, dieting, like every kind of genre of living. Surfers have been on the fucking pointy end of it, and this film's a classic example of that. It's just funny that like
speedier version. Everything was pretty psychedelic back in the way. This is pretty fucking.
Well, it's just weird that like the culture kind of stagnated in the era before that. It became less about being like edgy and futuristic and more about appealing to this mass market. Hence why some people probably didn't gel with your kind of edgy take on modern surf culture, but like it's so legitimate. And watching it recently, it actually stands up almost more today than it did then in some ways. Like I actually really appreciate those risks that you took with like the fucking high-end kind of techno and the visuals of like this fucking high-profile team out of their element setting foot into your vision. I think it's rad. I'm really glad it happened.
I'm glad it held up. I mean, I was very, and I still do, I try not to take too much influence from surfing, especially contemporary, like what's going on. Like I just don't even pay attention. Like I'll watch like archival films and stuff I grow up on and just like the core like good surf films. But I just feel like if I'm going to make something, I need to like gather influences from outside of surfing. Like I think, the Stab Boys were good at that. You can tell like they weren't just going to make another surf mag. It was like, we're going to be a hybrid of fucking fashion and just madness, like, and try and all their influences where I'm not sure where Sam and Derek, where they were pulling from, but gathering it wasn't from surf. So I tried to, I don't know. I was just fucking into music and blogs were big and just online, and news agents were still a thing. Like I used to just go and just pull like any like fashion mag from Europe and just be like, fuck, how cool is that concept? Like how can we manipulate that into like some sort of like surf scene or surf visual? So it was pretty distinct with trying to do something that visually kind of looked different.
That's so interesting. No, like I really respect that. And funnily enough, starting my career at Stab, like I got to see, during a really critical and important part of their evolution where they were kind of going from print to online. And I'm pretty sure I was the first online web editor, and
that's crazy.
Trusting a 21-year-old. Here you go with their empire of fucking like a 21-year-old hardcore degenerate. But just watching how they would glean information from Esquire and Vanity Fair and Interview Magazine, and like they had all of these really broad influences, and then Modern Collective came along, and it was like two kind of projects that were so invested in sucking in influence from the broader kind of creative world, yourself and Derek and Sam, and then and myself to a much lesser degree, but like we just like fucking linked up like a helix. Like it was an amazing thing. We kind of like just feed
off each other,
fully feeded off each other. And I want to say Modern Collective was a big part of like Stab's kind of transition through that period from print into the online space. They started a strong print presence for a number of years after that, but and vice versa. Like it was a sick thing to be a part of. I was such a grom, but it was cool to see like kind of heavy hitters above me and where they were sucking in influence from. And like, don't just look at fucking 90s Tracks magazine and ASL. Like there's this big wide world of art and culture that you can borrow from, and that stayed with me to this day.
Yeah, for sure. Timing is always helpful, and having like-minded people kind of, throwing shit out there in their different fields, whether it's, journalism, music, and going on that journey together. Like I'm so thankful for, Sam and Derek and Travis, and the Surfing Mag guys. Like I think at that time they were like, okay, we got Surfing Mag kind of competed. Like, what's the point of us being on the same trajectory? You go do the young fucking thing. You know what I mean? Like, you just Trav, you and Kai just do you, and they kind of let Travis and us do what we want to. Like, you know, like even the Lost Atlas, they did a whole issue on a film, and it was very progressive. So it's cool to have working just like, it's fun to work with people that are like...
And it felt like we were a part of something, like something new, and we were like making it up as we went along based on, you know, the most edgy kind of concepts we could come across. And we were just like taking risks and experimenting, and people got to observe that experimentation through film, through the writing, the photography. Like, it was a fucking mad thing to be a part of. And so like core, even though it didn't have the aesthetic of what we would consider core as a concept, it's so core to me. Like, it's like I just said, like so focused on what's the next step, what's the next phase, not kind of resting on our laurels as a kind of drunken fucking bogan surf culture.
And like, hats off to people that I guess supported it, or because it's a big thing to do when, you know, you're like investing money, or just like Evan Slater, like it's a big call. It's fucking on you at the end of the day. All the brands that were supporting it, you know, like a lot of the brands were coming into, I guess, that were helping fund those films were, you know, even the Hurleys and the Nikes, and they were like coming onto Surf strong. So, but they still took a punt, and they still kind of backed the product, or like the journalists and the filmmakers to sort of do what they do. So yeah, it was very fun time. Yeah, really fun time to make surf films for sure.
And what about the input from surfers? Like, I know you and Dane are real tight. You got a long history of creative collaboration. You guys were making films together at one point. Like, as in, Dane was literally making films, films alongside you.
Yeah.
And I guess like just from that brief little moment of time that I saw during the making of that film, like Dion and Dane seem to be the most opinionated and involved in terms of like aesthetic, art, culture. Like, those guys, they actually love that process.
Really helpful to work with someone that has like a vision that you're either aligned with or you are you're getting influence from. So like, as a filmmaker, you're like, fuck, this guy's so cool. Like, I just have to point the camera and, like, you know, it's like working with Aussie, you know what I mean? You're not going to curate Aussie. Like, you might with like some editing and some music and stuff, but he's doing the curation. So like, Dane and Dion, like, you kind of just have to like float around with the camera and help try and give their art, you know, service it on screen. Guys like Geordie, he didn't know what the fuck he was doing. You know what I mean? Like, he didn't know what pants he was wearing that day. He's looking at Dane. I was like, oh, Dane's wearing jeans. You know, he's more of a blank canvas, and like, he'll be the first to admit it too. He's just a really fucking good surfer. And so what I loved about that era, and like even like coming up from the start of surf mags, is you know, having the right editors in place to help you know, showcase these guys to like a bigger audience, and like make people love them, make them, it's not like make them cooler, but you just like, you want to make them stars, you know, you want to make, so yeah, there's some, I feel like those guys, you're like, oh cool, I can really work with Geordie, and like, you know, you're going to, you know, he's a fucking larrikin, but I'm not going to showcase the whole larrikin silly whatever, like all the time, maybe snippets of it because he's real human, but yeah, I want to make him look really good.
Mate, he was so funny at that point. And it was like you're saying, he was figuring out, like, he didn't really know who he was or what he was meant to be. And
he knew he wanted to be a world champion.
He knew he wanted to be a world champ. He knew he was ultra talented.
Yep.
And he knew that, like, that talent kind of gave him, in his mind, gave him the opportunity to have a bit of a punk attitude and a bit of a, like, kind of like rock star kind of mentality. And it was funny to meet him at that point in his career. And like, there was this kind of like bit of beef between him and Stab at that point. There was like oh, well, I may as well say it, the joy of, it's one of the fucking funniest things that's ever happened. The joy of sex, remember that?
Oh, I don't remember.
So the joy of sex was the most fucked up fucking thing that Stab ever made me do. It was like a sexual preference. It was like straight out of Cosmo or some shit. It was like a sexual preference fucking interview. So I'd have to call people up and ask them like all of like, do you like pubes or no pubes? What's your special move? I think I do remember What's your kink? Like all this shit. Anyway, I didn't do this interview. Fred Paul did it with Geordie, and the the controversy was all around. There was a statement about like he'd been picking up. He's gonna. No, you'll never listen to this. So it doesn't matter.
He probably will. That's all right.
Oh well, like at that point in his career, like. To his credit, men reach their sexual peak like in that kind of 18 to 25 bracket. Women is like 30 and above. So like we really should be like hanging out with older chicks, and Geordie was at that point. Cougars, I believe, was the term. And he said that he was so surprised by like how much cougars just love being fucked in the arse.
Oh my God, that's so big.
And that was published in print.
That's so hectic. That seems like, that's a different time, hey?
It's a different time, hey? There was some shit that went in those old Stab print magazines that was so raw. Like Derek was a fucking funny bastard and just knew how to like exploit the loopholes to make the edgiest possible content. And so Geordie was fucking filthy on the fact that someone from Stab was going to be on that trip, and I think he had this kind of bee in his bonnet with me, and so we had that like opening blowout at Neverland.
Yeah, right.
And the famous like incident which I talk about a lot on this pod, where Geordie's like kind of talking down to me, going like, fucking buy me a drink, fucking this and that. And I'm just like, are you fucking for real, cunt? Like I'm on 30 grand here. Like I'll knock you out and fucking cash this job in straight away. Like just kind of staunched him, and he like freaked out. And like, I feel like that was like a little bit of a learning process for him, where it's like, like I can't just like go to other countries and like expect like every kind of like, this guy's not going to be like the fucking surf journalist in San Clemente. Like I got to kind of be a bit more wise.
Professional athlete, or just like,
or just not be careful. Just be cautious around people. Like everyone's got a different story, and like we're not just like in the surf industry carbon copies of each other. And then from that point on, fucking love the guy. I reckon he's one of the most classic.
Yeah, he's great. Time. And that's like media. It's hard to get a read on someone, like, you know, like, and Geordie in the wrong hands could come off like pretty arrogant and like a bit of a dick for sure.
Hard out for sure. And like, he's in this culture, that kind of archetype will get you knocked out real quick. And like, he almost got it that night. And then later on in that trip, like same deal. Like I think he just was rubbing like the bogan kind of surfing culture up the wrong way, like Hazard and fucking the Hazard twins. And and I remember they sticking his entire board and like just like absolutely torturing him, just up all night blind, just fucking bullying him. And oh god,
but I know even listening to this now, like he wouldn't give a shit, and I know that's he's super honest and like no frills. Like he kind of wears his heart on his sleeve now. He doesn't care. He's in a good place, because like when you get to that spot where you don't really care what people think without being a dick, he's not too hung up on like, you know, how he looks or like how he talks. He's just he's like a pretty genuine, funny, nice guy. But back then he was a surfer that came from like South Africa, you know, a very different part of the world compared to like we're running around like the Goldie or Bondi. So it was all, it would have been a big eye-opening world, and getting thrown that much cash at you.
It was nuts. It was crazy. All that Nike hoopla.
Like what? People just like, what do you need? What do you want? I'm here to service you. Like it'd be hard to come. Yeah, you want the right people in your corner to just keep you grounded.
Totally.
I feel. And like,
this is the perfect country for it.
Yeah, seriously. And like I was the same too. Like everyone on our trips is the same. Like we're all the same. We're all human. We're all the same. No special treatment here. Yeah. Like, you know, like just Geordie, Dion, Geordie. Like, let's go. Like, Geordie, you're on $1 million a year. Dion, you're just still trying to like pave your career. Like, it was kind of there was just there wasn't any. I don't know. We just didn't care.
No, it was amazing. That like. They respected you so much, and they bought in so much to your vision and your culture and your understanding of surfing. And it felt like a really tight-knit crew, despite the egos and the personalities. Like, everyone was really unified and locked in behind you. And, I was able to, a couple moments, I can remember just going through some clips with, like, you were going through clips with Dane, and, just watching his own take on his surfing, going, fucking chop hop. It's like some psycho full road oop, like, so critical on himself.
Knows what he likes.
So comical. And you're just going like, dude, that was gnarly. Like, that's a full road oop. Like, that's probably a clip. And he's like, sharp up.
Yeah, Dane's funny. I've edited, like, so many sections with him. Like, most of them, actually. Like, even Stranger Than Fiction, he sat in on with me and we just edited his whole section together. Pretty much, like, from bottom turn to, like, the end. And making sure he's happy with the song. And, he likes to be involved. He knows what he likes with his surfing, for sure.
And, I mean, so sick. You can watch your films and kind of see the evolution of Dane. Obviously, you had, like, kind of first chapter before that, which was insane. And then had a crazy section in Campaign, and but, like, I feel like Modern Collective forward through the film is, like, kind of when he becomes a man, he progressively grows out of that kind of spindly frame, gets thicker set, his boards get shorter and wider, and the tails get sawn off.
A few beers, packed on a few pounds,
like, a few hundred beers.
Got a bit chunkier, a bit more powerful.
Yeah, so powerful. What was it like to kind of bear witness to that evolution in your surfing?
I mean, I've been lucky, kind of had, what, I wouldn't say ups and downs, but, like, I've just circled back and forth through so many projects with Dane. Modern Collective was probably a tricky one because he got injured on our first trip. He blew his ankle to pieces in France. I remember, like, he was, like, hobbling up the beach. We were surfing Anglet between the rock walls, and he'd just tried another backwashy beach break, and, like, landed funky. And he was on fire too. He was ripping. Like, it was like, fuck, he's surfing so good right now. He still got 2 clips in the movie from that day. And then he came back to the beach, and he's like, how's it look? I'm like, oh, it's all right. Maybe a bit of ice. Like, we might get through the trip. I was like, fuck, I'm in France with Dane. First kind of sessions, he's sort of blown his ankle out. And then I remember we were sitting back at the house. We had a sick little pad in France. It was so fun, just like us, like, and he's drinking a beer, and thing just blew up. It was fucking like a bowling ball. So that put him out for a few months, and he didn't really I swear he didn't really come good till, like, the last sort of trip.
That's right. Yeah. It was that Goldie trip, and then you guys went.
And you kind of don't notice it in the film. There's a few other clips I've sort of, like, pieced in there, but, like, he missed a lot of filming.
Yeah, and didn't you guys? There's like an entire section that's just him. Is that right? A J-Bay or something like that?
Yeah. So that was, I think it was in between our trips, and I just felt like, fuck, Dane doesn't have, like, it's Dane, and he doesn't have, I guess, this film's not really giving him justice, like, how good he is. And I want everyone to look good. So he gave me that footage, and I cut it together. I think it was when it was just stuff he filmed when he was there for the CT. So it was just all his free surfing stuff. Right. So I was trying to, like,
all in black and white. It's sick.
I was trying to, you always do, like, with a film, like, to collage, massage bits and pieces to make everyone look as good as they can. So he was a bit low tide, and that definitely helped. And then we kind of lost Atlas. He kind of lost a bit of, not interest. He sort of did that was marine layer, like hardcore marine layer, thrill spills, like, remember that film? Like, thrill spills and whatnots.
It had some, I remember, like, some of the music selections, like Neon Indian and, like, some cool shit.
It was on 16. It was so cool. It's like an art piece.
Yeah, dude. Fucking thank you for reminding me. I'll go tap back in. It's been a long time since I've revisited.
So he's sort of doing his thing, and then we did Lost Atlas, and then Dear Suburbia. I'm not sure why, but, like, we reconnected. Whether it's because it's totally up. Dane can do whatever the fuck he wants. I think it was maybe he wanted to do trips with people again, and, like, free surfing trips, and push his surfing. I don't really know why, but, like, we started doing trips, and we just fucking scored on trips. I think the first trip we scored, and it was just like, oh, cool. Like, I'm gonna try and.
What was that first trip?
The Japan trip.
Oh, that was the first. Fuck, mate. I was just watching that before. It's like, to this day, hard to think of a better wave than that fucking right when it's like 10 foot. It's It's surreal.
It was just after the Lost Atlas premiere, and so I was like, fucking pretty burnt out after just doing another film. And Travis called me up and said, and Nate Lawrence, there's a typhoon going to Japan, Kolohe. It was like the first trip was Kolohe, Connor Coffin, Dane. I was like, fucking Dane, okay. Like, I haven't even done a trip with him in a while. Like, we didn't really shoot in Lost Atlas. We did one scene. Remember the in France with Geordie and Dane surfing together?
Yeah.
It was like almost like come back, them hanging out, which was kind of cool, but the waves were pretty shitty. And I was like, fuck. All right, let's go. Like, straight after the premiere. And the waves were pretty good.
Oh, that's right. So the first section is like the funnest, most playful right point you've ever seen.
Like, Japan is mental. I just didn't think waves got good in Japan.
Mate,
pretty like green. Like, I was just like, I just picture Chiba, or like seeing the CTs there back in the day. Like,
it's like fucking
Rob Machado just belting like shit
Archie's
Japan.
fucking just hopping to the inside to belt it. Yeah.
So we got this river mouth that was like the sickest wave, like so fun. That trip didn't even make the film because a month later there was another typhoon. I'm like, we're going back, typhoon. Like the chat fired up, and we were just like, every typhoon in Japan must pump. You know what I mean? So we went back to the location where we shot the first trip, and that river mouth was just blown to pieces. It wasn't any good. So we kind of like, it was a hectic typhoon, lots of rain. We hopped around with like our Japanese guides, Suji Katsuya, he was such a good dude to us. And they people over there, they always show you the best time. We went to this other wave, and I've told the story a few times, but it was just a fucking crazy, crazy couple days of, it looked like trestles when we first rocked up, this cobblestone, and then the boys were kind of ripping, and it was like, I've never seen a wave turn on through a session. It's like sometimes in Indo, might be at deserts or somewhere, and it's the swell's filling in, the tide's filling in, and it might go from 2 foot to like 8 foot. Doesn't really happen on the East Coast. It's usually a slow build or like a fucking hectic storm, and it'll be a few days after. But just was looking through the lens, and the waves were getting just better and better, and the boys were just going to town. So they surfed their brains out and came in, and we're like, fuck, that was the sickest session. We're done. Like, let's go back to the hotel and just fucking, I don't know, watch Netflix and just cruise. And I was like, I'm going surfing, like, because I'm a surf frother. I'm like, these waves are so good. You guys go do whatever you want to do. Yaden gave me his board, and I was like, I'm going surfing, and it was getting better still. So like, I was getting a few barrels, and then they were like just hanging out. Someone went and got a Macca's, so they brought a whole bunch of Macca's down. They're just sitting on the rocks eating Macca's, and then slowly, John was on that trip too. Fuck, how could I forget? So it was, and then they came out, and just like, that's when Dane was getting stand-up pits, grab rail, like fucking power turns in the pocket, and we got so lucky.
Fuck. Dane puts on a clinic. It's like the perfect wave for him, just this kind of thick shoulder that he can just gaff with full might. That's some of those like upside down kind of club sanger revert things.
Like, so, like, the only word to describe it is like demolition. Like, he's just, and like, if you've watched Dane on footage is one thing, but if you've ever been in the lineup, which I awkwardly and anxiously have a few times, where I'm like, what the fuck am I in the surf? I remember paddling over the shoulder, and like, fuck, man, the backs of waves are like just destroyed. Like, he's so powerful and so fast. I haven't experienced that with too many surfers being in the water, where I was like, this is like, I got to get to the beach and get my camera. Like, he's just really, really powerful.
Mate, the surfing he was doing through that period, like, I think you could ask Mick or Kelly or anyone who, they were trading like world titles through that period, but everyone would stop what they're doing and watch Dane's heats. And it was for sure the best surfer in the world by like a long way. Like, no one was attacking it like that.
Yep.
And it was completely incompatible with contest results, like, because he just didn't care really.
Yeah.
Like, it just wasn't. He's such a purist, and he's so connected with feel as opposed to any other metric in surfing. Like, he just wants to go as hard at a section as he can. And man, talk to us about like the surfing he was doing through that period and where it rated against anyone else, like, and also, yeah, you kind of touched on it, like it was pure power and raw pent up aggression unleashed, but at the same time, like the accuracy, the timing, the speed down the line, the board design, I think fed a lot into it, like the dumpster divers or whatever that craft was. Maybe it was the neckbeard of that real like hard edged like square tail on it. It was such a genius design for him.
Yeah. Anything he was surfing on, people were like, I want it. Fucking sperm whale. That thing's just a plank. Like, I'll get one. Like,
fuck, he moved some units of boards.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, did you feel like he was out and out the best surfer in the world at that point?
For sure. I feel like now, more so. I think because I really appreciate power and how, I think that's come back a lot in surfing too, just because surfing went so far tech that people were like, back to core surfing, you know, like fucking Andy Iron sort of surfing, whereas Dane, he's that surfer where just a bottom turn's beautiful to watch. Like
backside bottom turn, his backside wind up to fucking fin throws.
Like a photographer's heaven, like click, 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 you know, like.
No one's gone harder off the bottom backside than Dane. It's psycho. He buries it and fucking just absolutely
forehand. It's a forehand hack off the bottom. Like, yeah, it's so. Yeah, more 100% at the time, more so now, and I'm stoked to have like a few little time capsules to like capture that, and I feel like that's such a beauty of surf films and like iconic sessions from back to the 50s or whatever, and maybe it's a bit hard to like time capsule shit today, like, you know what I mean? Like, whereas it was easier for us, like iconic sessions and surfers, and you can kind of. You can go back to those like timestamp moments and timestamp waves. And yeah, through that time, he was really like first chapter, he was like fucking so powerful, but he was still he was not as big, way more progressive. Whereas, I think I was lucky to have that film and do those trips we went to New Zealand, Indo, Japan, and it's kind of spread throughout the film, just like sprinkled throughout. But if you condensed it, if that was part-based, he would have absolutely demoed anyone in the film. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it wouldn't have been fair to anyone else because, like, if it was part-based, because it was very, he was fucking above and beyond.
That's interesting. So, yeah, in real time, when you're shooting it, it's like he's won that session by 1,000,000 miles.
Yep. And that boat trip we did too, he was fucking... Yeah, just like kind of goosebumps sort of filming, you know, when you see like, I've had it a few times where you're like, fuck, I hope the camera's recording. I'm checking if the light's like flashing. You're like, what the fuck just happened? That happened so quick. Did I capture that? Like, just like this shit's fucking crazy. Like,
mate, I love that you said that because, I spent all of these same years, more or less, covering the world tour when he was on it. I think up until 2010 or 11, he pulled the pin.
Yeah.
And it was the same sensation. Like, you know, full respect to Mick and Bede and Joel and Kelly and those guys, like, incredible surfing and, their ability to, like, Mick in particular, to just, like, develop a machine-like consistency was amazing. But
it's amazing.
Amazing.
Still is.
It still is.
Up.
And, like... It's watching Mick surf now. I have more of an appreciation for how good he was back then. But he was so consistent that it kind of lacked a bit of the definitely just lacked the excitement factor and the spontaneity of Dane surfing. And at that time, it was like kind of hard to put into words because it was, like you said, a goosebump, like a feeling that you got, like you felt like you were watching something that had never been done before and was...
You just didn't know what was going to happen.
You didn't know what was going to happen. He didn't know what was going to happen. he was going at sections so hard and just exploding into them and flying out of them and like the craziest rotations. I can remember like a couple of heats at Super Tubes, a couple like in Portugal, a couple at Snapper where he's just surfing off pure feel, attacking it as hard as he can, and the lines he's drawing are just like, it's like freeform jazz mixed with like Mike Tyson power, just a strange combination that was exhilarating to be on the beach for.
Yeah. Yeah, I think watching him, and he's like one of the surfers where you're like, fuck, why are you in a heat right now? Like, these are clips. Like, let's get him in a surf film, because it was that good what he was doing, you know, with a jersey on, for sure.
Fuck, it was good, man. Holy shit. And one of the few surfers where like a terrible diet and a bunch of beer has actually seemed to have helped him. Like he when he had more meat on the bone, I feel like his surfing really became otherworldly. Like I compare like first chapter Dane Reynolds to kind of like the more portly version, and I'll definitely take the more portly version.
Yeah, I wonder how it's going for him now, but I think that's the one thing too, and just through surfing and filming is, you know, there's a level of maturity and in your like build and your surfing where you kind of hit that sweet spot, and why it's so hard. Like surfers are so young and so little, like to just even like on trips I didn't like doing trips with people that were too young. Like I just felt like they weren't fully developed, and yeah, you can do all the airs and tricks, but it just doesn't look as good. You're a grom. You're still small, and if you can carry that through, that skill with a bit of power and progression through to when you're older, I think that's when you become a really good surfer and you have that sort of X factor. So
true, because you know your films also kind of announced the arrival of John in a lot of ways, like, and he's such a grom at that point, and the punts are so technical. I want to say that like the first turn he does in your film is a rodeo clown. Like, or I don't know if that's exactly true, but like,
yeah, John was a freak for sure. I remember at the time his manager Blair Marlin, who he used to manage me. I had a film manager at one stage there. Yeah, right. Blair, he put me.
Blair's the man. Love Blair.
Yeah, he definitely.
Haven't seen him in eons.
Cut some deals and helped me out.
Sick.
And was good mentor. So
and managed like a lot of the top talent at that time.
Well, he's like the Irons brothers. Anyone that can manage those
Irons
guys,
brothers,
like, fuck.
Dane, yourself, John. I didn't even know that, but that's crazy.
Yeah, so he was sort of, which is weird to say, but he was like pushing John on me. But I still had it in my head, like, you know, little John Florence, just this little grom that was phenomenal, did airs, but how are you going to compare with Dane Reynolds? And like, is it going to look good for you on screen? Like, I don't like rushing it. And I was completely wrong. He was fucked up, and like it just like to show how good he was as a tube rider, which I was starting to, you know, the older you get, I wasn't just into like thrashy beach breaks anymore. Like surfing in good waves and barrels and documenting like beautiful surfing was starting to appeal to me much more. And watching John just like, you know, tippy toe airdrop into a 8-foot pit, just fucking surf it perfectly, come out and just like do a rail turn or just a, you know, full rotation herb. He was on quick. And like he went beyond me very quickly. Like he went off and did his like own thing because he was that good.
Yeah. It's interesting, like when he comes online, that end section in Dear Suburbia, he's the standout by a mile when the conditions are big and coning. But like you talk about that sweet spot of physicality, like it's not there yet for him. Like his rail turns are totally like inconsequential, and like the placement's there and the style's there, but there's just fucking no real meat on the bone. So he's limited in the amount of water he can take. He can move, and you look at his rail game now, and it's fucking
it's turbo.
Surreal. And a lot of that is on the back of just the thickness of his legs, like the placement. The timing and the style of his youth is all still there now with just like serious man strength. But fuck, that must have been wild to watch him knife into those pits, because he goes ballistic in that clip, dude. He's fucking going so nuts and just so at home.
It was so below sea level. Like if I had my time again, like Dear Suburbia, Modern Collective and Lost Atlas, I was working with pretty lo-fi gear, pretty shitty cameras, very basic, somewhat due to budgets and somewhat due to me. I didn't know much different. I was just like, these cameras, like Monocollective was shot on like a Sony, like a glorified one of those PD-150 versions, you know, a newer one of them. And then Lost Atlas was like on a, remember when those Canon, having a mental blank, where all the craze where like is a Canon, I forget. But basically it was like you have your Canon body, your 5D, 7D, Canon 7D. And so finally you could put long lenses on cameras, but the quality was shit. It looked so digital, and I didn't really realise till after the film. I was like, fuck, it doesn't look that good. And that trip I shot with that camera, and then the trip after I borrowed a red camera off Taylor, like one of those red ones, this Mongo beast of a camera, and took it to the desert in South Australia. And it was the first time I paired, like, it felt like I was shooting something a lot more cinematic. Like I could really mix progression with some like beautiful film work. So I wish I had that camera for the trip before. It would have just made it look fucked up. The angle I was shooting, the waves was so below sea level, it was kind of hard to capture it. And Dane cracked his rib that morning too.
Yeah, I was wondering because he doesn't seem to get any on the big day.
So it's kind of like, unless you go full doco spec and start interviewing the guys, which I did behind the scenes. Like there's some behind the scenes footage on What Youth and stuff.
Is there? Like, yeah, right. You can. That's still up now. You can go watch that.
Probably. It's been on YouTube somewhere. I've got it on a hard drive, mate. Just pull one of the drawers out. Like there's hard drives galore. But yeah, Dane, he cracked his rib, and him and Minnie, fucking his filmer, just packed up and left. So it was just me on the other side of the beach. I didn't even know they bailed, but the looking in angle. There's a couple because Nate Lawrence set his second camera up next to his stills camera and just hit record. So that's why it's like a pass by. Like, you know, like the waves are just passing by because he just recorded the whole session. Because Nate's just a fucking legend. And he's just so onto it. Because that's the angle. That angle was mental. You kind of were elevated looking in to these backdoor looking like pits where I was sort of losing the bottom. So yeah, John was just throwing himself over the ledge. And Dylan held his own too against
Perillo.
Yeah, with John, just them two out, dude. Like
that's crazy.
Yeah, there was another Corlaw Japanese guy. I think he got one. I should have thrown him in the film. It was just too heavy. So thick. So much water moving around. The cobblestones on the inside, because cobblestone were just pinging up as the boys were coming in. Like you just didn't want to get hit by a rock.
Wow. That's crazy. And that's the same wave, like the rippable point that
same wave.
Fucking hell, man. I'm not, because it's so busy on the playful day.
Yeah. It's busy. It's a very localized spot. We were really lucky that we were allowed to shoot there, and thanks to like all the locals for letting us document that session. But it was they were all out there ripping too until it just got real heavy.
Fuck, it's mate. When you see in John pin drop out of the top of one, like it's very critical.
And that track too, like I can hear the track now as I'm talking about it. That dun 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 dun. It's like this bassy, dark track. Bit of a segue, but I remember where I found that track was it was in New York. I was out, bumped into Aussie earlier that night. Aussie Wright was there.
What? Just randomly?
Randomly. And he's like, go to this club. Like, and he was like, I was like, okay. He's like, it was called Home Sweet Home. It's fucking some typical New York dark alley. Rock in. Must have been like some sort of like performance or something, because there was these people wrapped up, like homeless people at the bar, like wrapped up in quilts. And you'd step up on them and order drinks and shit. Like, it's fucking a trip. But it was this red, just dark cave. And I remember walking in, hearing that track, going, what the fuck is this track? This is the sickest track. And somehow heckled the DJ enough as before Shazam. Just be like, dude, what's that track? And he like told me the record label. And I hit him up and got it licensed for that part.
See, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Like, unless you're going to these places like New York City and, just weaving around dark alleys and going to fucking torched performance artist clubs.
It was so wild.
Yeah, but that seeps into your vision and your surf films, and that's like a true gift, like to the surfing community. And that was something that yourself and Dion were pretty, and Aussie for that matter, were passionate about. Like, actually spending time in these non-surf locations purely for the inspiration and ideas that you could get from them. and bringing it back to surfing. You can imagine like some Grom from fucking Scott's Head or Crescent Head or Port Macquarie just getting his fucking head blown off by like.
Well, I think, and it comes down to intention, and that's like been like a big kind of motivator for me is I was that kid at Crescent or Scott's, but up the sunny coast, like sitting on a couch watching surf films. And I was watching like, the Malloys and like even Taj and these American surf films. It was like, it was so cool. Like, fuck, how sick's that? They're going to these waves, and even like Hurley wetsuits back then was so much cooler. And it was just this like motivation to like get off the couch and to see things and experience things. And that's always something I wanted to bring into my work, was like to motivate people to travel, experience, and like kind of bottle all that up and, gift it to another person or generation. So I was always trying to like recapture that feeling as a Grom.
Yeah. It's the greatest gift that surf culture gave me. And it's really like the power of it is, you're a Grom, you don't know shit.
Nothing.
But then you get like 156.
No surfing and girls.
Yeah, exactly. And then you get given like 156 tricks or 7 days, 7 slaves or bicycle, and you're getting tapped into the fucking pointy end of underground culture as seen through the eyes of Vaughn and Aussie, like these elders who are just like dialing you into the coolest shit, all the Vulcan films, like whatever.
Yeah.
But that was like, suddenly you're fucking steezing. You got like mad tunes, like mad get-ups compared to the other fucking nerds at your high school. You're dominating, dude. Like you've fucking leveled up like so much harder. And skate culture for sure.
Skate culture's huge. Like
had that appeal.
That fucking changed the whole wardrobe at our high school. You know what I mean? Like chunky globe shoes, SMP belts, like just fucking, you know what I mean? It was just like, it was whatever was happening in skate and surf back then was the shit. Like,
absolutely. It's so going back in your story a bit. So you actually grew up in South Oz originally?
I was born in Adelaide.
In the
suburbs.
Yeah.
Very far away from the beach. Luckily, my dad was a bit of a hippie, and he got in through like one of his, I think his cousins took him surfing to like, they probably went to Victor Harbour or something. But eventually they'd bone out and do like weekend trips to York and shit like that.
And did you get to go on some as well?
Not at all. Like that was when he was like probably 18, and then he had kids and just fucking settled down in a suburban house in the middle of like heroin riddled like Elizabeth, like outside of the city, like absolute shithole. So thankful like we moved out of there, and that's to do with Dad finding surfing again. Because he actually lost his leg in a car accident coming back from one of those trips.
No way.
Yeah, so they were in a combi, him and his two mates. I think they were pretty tweaked at the time. Who knows, like fucking off their heads or whatever.
Well, yeah, I mean, those drives are long. If you're not smoking 1,000 joints on those drives, I don't know what you're doing to fucking keep it interesting.
Just fucking bang straight into a like road train.
Yeah, classic.
Lost his leg below the knee. So kind of ejected, like, couldn't fathom surfing.
Yeah.
He became a painter, like a sign writer by trade. Got into kneeboarding.
Sick.
Yeah, so like just back in the ocean. And then eventually longboarding made a resurgence. And we were doing a trip around Australia when I was probably like 10 or something. And we just posted up in the Tewantin Caravan Park.
Where's that?
Tewantin in Noosa. Like,
oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, it was pretty like bogan, like run down like back then. Like, but now it's like everywhere's pretty bougie and like beautiful spot. But yeah, just this ghetto little caravan park. But like he used to started surfing the points and getting into longboarding. And yeah, it's a fucking pretty long story, but we ended up riding our car and caravan up in North Queensland and bunkered down with the local copper there, and went back to South Oz, and my parents were like, we're out of here. Like, we're going back up the sunny coast. So went to Yamundi Primary, like for like grade 7, and then Noosa High. And then I just found surfing, got hooked on it pretty late, a bit of a kook. Surfing was hard for me. Like high school was pretty, I felt like getting thrown into the industry I did where everyone's like ripping when they're like fucking 8 and shit. I was like, fuck, I've missed the boat. But yeah, I found surfing really hard, but I was like, just so hyper focused on getting okay at surfing. That was my world.
Oh, you got there, dude.
Yeah.
You actually ripped, like a really good surfer.
Well, it took it's a lot of time behind the scenes to get okay to surf good barrels. That's what I wanted to do.
Yeah. And so Sunny Coast at that time, I'm thinking like similar vintage, like Dean Brady, Wade Goodall. Is that the kind of generation, Julian?
Yeah,
I guess?
so I ended up becoming mates with through the board riders with the good surfers, and that's kind of when I was throwing a camera in high school. We had an elective which was film, which I just took. Not interested in film at all, but I made a surf film with Brady and Daniel Vardy and Jake Monkley, Ryan Campbell, like all the kind of Sunny Coast like lords. That was my whole world back then. Like I didn't know other than ASL mag, like Surfing Life, where you see your heroes. Those guys were like fucking heroes to me. Like they're just, when you're like small community, just like they're just the gods of the local board rider scene. So I made a little film with them, and I was like, a switch went off. Like I'm never going to be like pro junior surfer. Like eject that tape. I'm not, like as much as I want to be, I'm not getting sponsored. So I really fell in love with making films, and it kept me in surfing and in and around it. And just fucking shifted into that.
And any thoughts on why the Sunny Coast produces so much high-end talent? It seems to be like our kind of Florida when I think about the surfers that come out of there. Harry Bryant, Wade Goodall, Julian in particular, just guys who are like so technical and stylish and then just fucking maniacs in the juice, every single one of them.
I think it's shitty waves.
Yeah, it has to be, hey, just like Florida.
Like
shitty waves
and
with
like
good shape.
really hard to surf waves too. Like beach breaks that are not perfect. Like surfing, I remember going to uni and starting to surf Stratty, and I'm like, fuck, this is a wave. But like the beach breaks are just rippy and hard to surf. Point breaks are kind of fat. So I just think it's hunger. The only thing I can think is just very ignored too. Like no one shines a light on the Sunshine Coast surf scene. Well, back then it's all about the Gold Coast, which is spoiled for like the sickest waves, and like that's where all the brands were, and like kids are fucking stickers when they're like little babies. So I just feel like maybe the Sunshine Coast was a bit more of like, I want to prove myself mentality. I'm just as good as those guys, even if the waves are shithouse. And like progressive surfing, trying to like make shitty waves look good. I think that's like the Hobgoods and all like the guys from the East Coast of the US. They're very different surfers. They're not as polished as if you grew up at like Trestles or something. You know what I mean?
True.
Mate, that's the only thing I can think of.
Got to highlight Colborne too. Fuck.
Colborne.
Sunny Coast, absolute finest.
Yeah.
Super technical. Like low key, one of the stars of Modern Collective and a bunch of your films. Yeah. Fuck, his backside fin throws and frontside fin throws, big punts, sick in the pit. Like
phenomenal. Like
fun
naturally gifted. Like I feel like Colborne's just like such a sick style, so powerful and like very progressive. So he kind of, he's just like, reminds me like a Canstel or someone, he's just like so naturally like in tune and very stylish, which was like, he was probably the most underrated surfer that was on Modern Collective for sure. And maybe if I hadn't grew up at the Sunny Coast and knew him, like he wouldn't have been in that film, but I just knew how good he was.
And what was it like as your career developed and you became like the fucking go-to guy in terms of making hi-fi blockbuster surf films? Like, did it get awkward with companies like trying to kind of force surfers down your throat and like throw big money at you? Like, was it hard to keep the integrity of your films?
I mean, I wish I got more big money thrown at me so I didn't have to like think of the question too much. Nah, but it was 100%. There's like brands were pushing surfers, and I was pretty. Most of the time was a big no for me. It was about working with the best and who I thought was a fit for the project, and even like random choices like fucking having like Owen Wright in Lost Atlas. You know what I mean? Like that was nothing to do with like Rip Curl going, hey bro, here's $100,000. It was more to do with, I don't know. I think I also wanted to like just flip Modern Collective on its head too. So I was like, let's take someone that's like junior series, cut and polished surfer, like. But I knew him from doing trips with ASL that he was actually one of the most progressive surfers too. Like he could do sailfish, like air revs, which Lost Atlas, that was kind of the move for that film. And like he was that good. So I was like, fuck, let's throw Owen in the mix and put him on a trip with Craig and Dion. So to the question with brands, yeah, Chloe was heavily pushed on me, like through those early films, through Nike, because they were a sponsor. Which was fine because he was a good surfer, but I also had to work. I felt like I had to work hard to. No, that was Dear. I know he was. Yeah, he had a couple of trips in Los Angeles, but in Dear Suburbia, I wanted to make him look older. You know, Chloe was always. He kind of was the brother. He was just seen as like the Grom, but I knew he was phenomenal. So I wanted to like. With the music selection and the waves, like just showcase like a bit of powerful and just make him look a bit grittier. Like,
yeah, it's funny. You mentioned polished. Like he screams polished to me. He's, so technical, and he's kind of like
too good.
Like he's like Mick Fanning, but like
fall off.
He has that. He has that approach to punts and shit, and it does lack like. It's just a little bit too polished. But when you see him in really marginal conditions, he fucking blows my mind. Doing the craziest combos in absolute shit. Yeah. Whether it's fucking Newport or Turners in Yambra. I watched some weird Lost clip of him. Recently. He's
a sick surfer.
Man, he's good. Like, and I think you really get a sense of that when the conditions are fucking really poor. When he's in really quality conditions, he kind of lacks just a bit of the X factor, the grunt, the fucking whatever it is. But a freakish talent, man.
Didn't have as many scoos as Dane.
Yeah,
you know? Like,
needs to fucking get on the Corona program. Yeah. And having a slight mental blank, but anyway.
Yeah, we were talking like where I grew up, and I guess.
Yeah, so like, I guess, well, going towards more like the latter part of your career, like, you had some pretty mental business ventures, like Epochy, which was sick. Like, fuck, you guys got such a crazy team. It was the first company I can remember that was fully surfer driven.
Yeah.
And now there's heaps of them. Yeah. What was that like? Talk us through what you learned in that process and how that all kind of came together.
Exhaustingly learnt enough. Like,
I bet it was fucking super challenging. Business is like semi a nightmare, eh?
There was a period where I was just had spinning way too many plates, like and it was just because I was very go, like, let's just sort of, take the bull by the horns and let's see how far we can take this whole roller coaster that I'm on. Surf films, and I got to a point where I wasn't even paying attention with surf films. I was almost just, I loved them, and it was muscle memory, you know what I mean? Like, and like all my energy was going into like building What Youth and then starting a brand, and I did them all at the same time as I was making like Dear Suburbia. So started bootstrap, Epochy, for example, it was just core start of like 4 people throwing a 10 grand or whatever in a bank account and just fucking figuring it out. There was no big backing or no investment. It was trial and error, doing it the long way, making frames that were completely wrong and shit and thinking they're cool, and learning everything you could about eyewear, but also building a brand. The one thing I felt like was in my wheelhouse was brand building, and that was how I treated my films, was as a brand. So the name, the writers, the trips, the photos, everything, I loved it. I loved doing that, and package that together and then bringing it to market and selling it, I fucking hate. Like, I eject, like, but that's the learning curve of like business just becomes operating and just margins and employees, and it's it is fun, but it becomes like it takes away from that brand building side of things for sure. So did a lot in one period, which was like pretty full on. So
crazy to think, when Epochy was founded, maybe like at around about the same time, the big brands were still powerful. Yeah. It was like you don't turn away checks. Fully. So we were like, one of the reasons it was eyewear, I was like, what's the smallest checkbook on your surfboard? It's like, if I can start a wax or leg ropes or eyewear, maybe we can get away with eyewear, because it's like, it's maybe one thing that those guys can be like,
I'll rip that sticker off and like maybe I'll invest in something I believe in or something fun. So that was part of it because people were still getting paid like pretty decent money. You wouldn't go start an apparel brand because, well, the former boys did. Like Craig did it.
Exactly.
Which is like fucking crazy.
Crazy, and it's blown up. Former Chapter 11.
And they did the hard yards. Like I know more behind the scenes. Like Former's had its ups and downs and changes and like it hasn't been as smooth. It's been probably like stressful for those boys, but it's sort of paying dividends now where it still is pretty core writer owned and at a time where all those big brands are just falling off a cliff. Like so they're like, holy shit, like the timing, like we can kind of breathe and like we're going to take some of that market share.
Yeah, and
if you can ride it out, weather the storm.
Totally. And surfing was screaming out for it. I can remember sitting down for a long interview with Dane as he was about to pull the pin on his world tour career and how like jaded he was by the mass appeal nature of writing for a major company, which was Quicksilver at that point. And you could tell like he was just over it. Like he just like as much as he needed the money and he wanted to do something cool.
Yeah, he could have gone two ways, like reclusive and just been like fucking Tom, I don't know, you know what I mean? Like just disappear and just surf. Be like, fuck this, I'm over it. You know, that bit of jaded. Or he's like, oh no, I'll do something to like rebel and push up against these brands that I don't want to ride for. Like I just don't want to I don't want to throw that sticker on my board. I don't believe in it.
Yeah, he wanted to represent surf culture as he knew it, and he didn't feel like the company was representing that, and as a result he felt like a bit of a fraud representing that company, and took a major fucking pay cut and like made such an immense sacrifice to follow his vision and dream. And no doubt, like, I mean, I've heard him say it, like, fuck, it was like rattling, and Ando for that matter, like trying to run a business and like
crazy.
Learning on the run whilst cultivating an elite surf career. Like that's actually your job. Like running a business is a job as well.
I don't know if it's the time. It's 100% the timing too. Like maybe like if you'd started a brand in maybe the 70s or something, it just might have been easier. Like I think, like I don't know, like hats off to all like the founders of those big brands and like getting to the level of where they did and the fucking shit that they've done. Like, because to do that today is like a huge like mountain to climb. I feel
it doesn't feel like it could really happen again in that way. Like all those guys started their companies in much the same way you and Dane and Ando have.
Out the back of cars and like,
totally, but it's just that like surfing's never going to go through a period of growth and like mainstream intrigue and fascination like that. Like now it's kind of like the best you can hope for is cornering like a core surf demographic, which is now also huge. Whereas back in the day, I guess your big companies, they were able to just sell to fucking the mainstream population because the core surfing demographic would have been tiny then.
Very small.
Whereas now surfing's so big that the core demographic's actually pretty big.
Yeah, a niche market is actually a sustainable market to a level. Like, how do you break into that commercial success by still remaining core is probably the question that all the brands have been navigating over the last 10 years. And I don't know. I don't know the answers. Otherwise I'd be, probably making the right moves. But it's forever changing, like I feel like, and media is forever changing. But, people still, want to get behind products and wear clothes that they feel comfortable in and back. And, it might, but the former could take off and be fucking big, which would be so cool to see.
Seems pretty big.
It does.
I see it everywhere. When I'm at like some obscure...
Isn't it cool to see?
It's so cool.
I trip out.
It's a crack up. When I'm at like some fucking weird doof in the fucking deep Foster hinterland and I look across and amongst all the topless women and gay dudes in G-bangers, there's some dude repping a former hat. I'm like, fuck.
The most random crew. Far. And I hope the boys like see that as like, fuck, that's pretty cool. Because like I remember you just see, on trips I'd just see Craig in it, and like... it might sling me some clothes and just like pretty core tiny crew. But fuck, seeing random crew wearing it around the globe is like pretty cool. Like even with seeing shades, you're just like, whoa, that's wild. Never thought that person would be a consumer.
And And what did you learn about building a brand? Like, what are some of the kind of fundamentals through Epoxy?
I would say, for me personally, be very clear on what your intentions are for building a brand. You know, if you're using it as a creative endeavor, you know, if it's fulfilling that sort of need to make things, and realize that you know, keep that small and bottle it up, and there's probably a ceiling there and it can be sustainable in that level. But if you're trying to make money, it's a completely different, have a bit of a strategy before you just kind of go in, because it'll quickly change when it gets out of your hands, when you become at a certain level. And so, yeah, knowing why you're getting into and why you're doing a brand is pretty key learning to enjoy the process for a long period of time, because it is a long ride. And that's another thing. It doesn't happen overnight. Even launching a brand, like, I'm sure Craig probably could have taken that Quicksilver check and then that would have wound up 3 years and then they launched Former. You know what I mean? Like, it took so long from hanging out with those guys, from idea to we've got an online store. If you're doing it like boots on the ground, that's my experience. Some people might be way faster, but yeah, there's a lot. It's a long journey. So know the reasons why you're doing it and just be prepared to do the work. Like, I think that's pretty like business 101 still too. And then always try and surround yourself with good people. Like I always do, like smart people I think is key, who you can learn off. Let people who are skilled in, whether it be fucking sales or whatever, but just like partner with them and let them do their thing and you can do your thing. So partnership is key, and be respectful of that partnership, because it's like a marriage, you know, like you're very different people and you're going to have different ideas, but it's working together and workshopping the ideas and trying to make things successful. So it's like, yeah, I think it's building a brand's a lot of acceptance too. Yeah. From the original idea.
Great tips, man. Yeah. And the business partnership, that the marriage, as you called it. So true.
Yeah.
And you mentioned Ando, man, like far out. I feel like your films were kind of the first we really saw of him. Like Modern Collective was like one of his like kind of first major parts, and he goes pretty fucking psycho at that right at Reunion 2 from memory. Like does a big crazy backside rotor.
I still can't believe I'm giving business advice, but anyway, we'll go back to making surf films.
No, you crushed it. Yeah, love that advice. Yeah, Ando, like, what struck you about him? He's, you know, one of the great talents, one of the great style masters in inimitable style. Yeah. Talk to us a bit about, your time working with Ando. Yeah,
he jumped on the radar when I was filming Stranger Than Fiction, and I threw a clip of him in the intro clip. And you know how good intro sections were of like the Taylor Steele films, where it was like the 1 or 2 waves of like the random crew that didn't get full parts. So I was trying to push in a few of the people that I like, especially the Aussies. I was trying to get heaps of Aussies in there. And like some of this, like Lee Wilson and shit, you know, like
fully.
People like some of the boys from like the Sunny Coast. So someone sent me the clip and it was just this lofty big straighty, so stylish. And I'd started to just see a little bit more, and I don't know. I think it was just his surfing, and he just seemed like a really, really cool young kid, and he was backed by like, you know, Geordie and Dion. I listened to the surfers around me. I'm very, who do you like? You know, like you guys are kind of, you know, maybe on the ground more than me, and like they were like, oh, you got to check this Craig kid out. He's fucking really good. Like he's like got this style that like just is so different from everyone else. Took him on that trip, and like I feel Craig wasn't a bang overnight thing. He was a slow bloomer, and it sort of he had to work a lot harder in those early days to, you know, get the clips and find himself and get his sort of on screen presence. He's not as like a John, you know what I mean? Like fucking there's a rotation alley-oop. It was a fun working relationship over those years with Craig, and working on him Lost Atlas and Dear Suburbia. and I did a few quickie campaigns where they hired me, and then he got kind of under the Dane wing and did Slow Dance, sort of his profile film.
Yeah.
And then I did the short films like Welcome Elsewhere and The Quieter You Are, The More You Can Hear.
Amazing film as well.
Short films. So
his catalogue's insane, man. And that's the thing about
very iconic. Like,
it's
he's
so
just
iconic.
So visually, and that's probably a word to... he has such a iconic look to his surfing.
He does. And underrated in terms of his versatility. Like, when I think of Ando's career, he's done it all, man. Like, obviously super stylish, but... crazy punt game. Like some of the biggest rotations of all time belong to that guy. But then, riding twin fins.
Pretty ballsy. Like, do a trip Lost Atlas and take a single fin and go and try and, with the most progressive surfers making a progressive surf film, and he's riding a single fin out at Greenbush.
And getting crazy cones. Like his technique and his read and his line and his ability to, just get super deep.
Such a good tube rider.
Such a good tube rider, man. Riding single fins at like Greenbush, like huge pipe, huge cloud break. Crazy to see such a modern surfer.
And that's all Craig too.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not, like, even if, like, I don't think there's people in his ears telling him to, like, I was never like, hey, bring a single fin. It would look fucking sick, dude. Like, that was him. Like, yeah. So I feel like, maybe he's got a bit more of an idea of the surfer he wanted to be more so than he gives on.
Mate, it's beautiful surfing, and probably the most consequential barrel rides on a single fin ever. There's like shades of Machado and Lopez in his surfing, but man, he's getting so deep on really consequential, critical waves. It's beautiful surfing, man. Like a modern talent on old school equipment is just like so visually appealing.
Fun to watch.
It's so fun to watch, and in waves of serious consequence. What is that? What is that film? I want to say he's on a yellow singly at Cloudbreak, maybe.
That's the quieter the more you can hear. It's the last section.
Unbelievable.
It's a wave in the Mentawais,
right? Like
a misto sort of wave. Yeah. But just the way it was shot and the underwater and just the blue water with the yellow is like so trippy and psychedelic and like kind of clicks. Like I wanted that section to just be a whole part because. It's visually, it was, I remember getting the footage and I'm like, it was like fucking Dav, like the filmer, Dave Fox, who shot some of the water stuff, and Baron Hall shot the land stuff, but it was like they shot it so well, it was shot so tight, and the water shot was fisheye. It's just like Jerry Lopez, like in the pit, you know what I mean? Like he's coming through Uluwatu or something, like Jack McCoy spec. It's very like nostalgic and iconic without just being on the nose, like it's not like, it seems very natural.
So natural. It's timeless surfing. People can often throw shade at equipment like that. Oh, it's retro, it's hipster, but it's like, it's not. Watch that clip. This guy's getting as tubed with so much style and poise and elegance, but getting so barreled, it's so functional. And that equipment is super functional if ridden the right way by the right surfer.
I wonder how many people were trying to fucking pull into pits on single fins after like watching that stuff and just bang, straight nosedive.
Getting flexed, you got to be careful of the weight distribution. You don't want to slide out backwards on some bone dry Mentawai reef pass. But Ando, like an incredible talent. He then
influential surfer for sure.
And those films, the bummer about them is like I feel like he could have an imprint every bit as significant as Rasta or Lopez or Machado or any of these guys. Like he's in that category of style and performance. It's just that like he comes along during the digital age where all of his films are like kind of just dispersed in the fucking galaxy of content.
That is hard, but I do know like from traveling with Ando, like people fucking lose it when he pops up.
Yeah.
Like he's he's very influential and like he's anywhere he goes around the world, people are like, it's fucking Craig Anderson. Like, but in regards to that time capsuling of like core fucking DVDs or VHS, you know what I mean? Like it's hard to curate. Curation's so hard. Like to like, if you were like someone who, like, hey, check out Craig Anderson. You'd be like, fuck, where do you'd have to send him a whole bunch of weird links and shit. Like,
exactly.
It's a bit trickier.
It's so hard to curate. It's Command D. It's almost impossible.
And I don't know where it's going to get to because, like, what are you going to send like someone an Instagram reel of like 1 minute? I don't know. Like, it's just like that's what you get sent. I guess that's like, hey, check this guy out. Bang. It's like I don't have Instagram.
I need an Ando tab on my like just films, like just a full fucking all of Ando's films.
Folder. Just rip them.
Just a folder.
Rip them off the net.
Exactly.
Just fucking.
Mate,
yeah.
And because like the latter part of his career, like the current part of his career, he's traveling with boog filmers and just fucking hucking himself into the most psycho slabs, like backside half the time.
Yeah.
Like, so he's now just at the pointy end of the heavy water game. Whatever that film, he's surfing that left down near Bali.
Stupid shit.
Fuck, mate. Doing wild shit with nothing but his magical perm to protect his precious brain.
Yeah, that was from what he nearly died out there. That I haven't been to Wayne too. Yeah,
well, the huge left. There's like
it's like pipe.
Depot.
Depot. Yeah,
and he gets that crazy hold down. And has the involuntary spasm. Opens his mouth, sucks in all the water. So heavy, dude. Yeah. But then the supers, holy shit, dude. There's that first wave in one of those clips, and he, I guess that the rule is, you got to paddle one before you tow one. Just paddles one and fully self-sacrifices at the altar.
I think Noah drags his fucking fins along the reef on those waves these days now too. Like, those guys are just, I don't know what they're trying to do. It's turbo. It's like surfing. Yeah, I mean, they're subject of their environment, hanging out with mad bodyboarders, but it's like, what is the thickest, sometimes it doesn't even look that gnarly on film, but what's the thickest, most critical slab technically that I can paddle into? Like these guys have been sort of bodyboarding. That's what they're all frothed up on. It's
crazy because they're combining like your career with the bodyboarding career. That's like the modern free surfing film is like, crazy punts, super technical punts and ramps, and that they search out those kinds of waves. But now it's got this, like, now they're just surfing fucking boog slabs, going so ham, and then also using those slabs as
big
ramps. Yeah.
It's sick. It's good to see. They've like, even hanging out with those guys, they've like, as a filmer, I'm like, they're doing that, so I just get to document it. But because they're introducing me to waves and filmers that I would have never have kind of had on my radar if it wasn't for that kind of core. Load your bodyboards up in the Honda Civic and fucking where's the craziest wave I can find in the desert with no one around, and like eat a loaf of bread, and you know what I mean? Like those guys like kind of paved the way for us to come down and like document it on maybe with a bit bougier level with a gas cooker and shit, like, so yeah, they're doing the hard yards like Craig and Noah, and it's cool to watch.
Mate, it's a mad antidote to the bougie fucking high flying pro surf industry that it kind of went that way, and like it was funny, like
I love it. I love it,
mate. It's what it's all about. Like
it's fun.
The bodyboarding experience harks much more back to the average surfer's experience than the kind of elite pro surfing version of things. Like that just shit kicking around in a van or a car and fucking shit in the dunes is like,
and to a point, they actually thrive on how shit it can get.
Yeah, mate, you got it.
What is the shittest meal we can make? How much can we actually make this really difficult? And I'm like, let's make it a bit easier. Like, like
it's 45 degrees. Let's just go get a
beers,
motel.
They've got hot beers, like shit. They do not give a fuck.
Fuck, that's good.
Yeah.
And man, like, just finally, like, favorite places that you've been. You've been all over the world, incredible surfing destinations, but, also just unique urban landscapes. Like, what are some of your most inspiring and favorite places?
I mean, so lucky to come into surfing at a time, where there was, invested into free surfing and making movies, where I had the opportunity through Surfing Life. I did a film with mixtape with Bobby Martinez, and then the Taylor Steele years.
Oh, really? With Reef?
Yeah.
I think I had that.
That was
that.
Yeah. I got hired off Nutty hired me off for surfing life. Like, it kind of poached me, I guess. I was like, fucking sweet, I'm going to get out of here.
So you worked with Bobby? Like,
yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, for a year. Travelled with him.
No shit.
Yeah.
And was that, because he was kind of, his
I was his
wife's,
filmer. Yeah.
That's fucking insane. And his wife is from Currumbin
She's
as
from
well?
Currumbin, yeah.
So was that when he was living out here on the Goldie?
Yeah, I think it was a bit after he met his wife, but not only like by a year or so, but yeah, just like, yeah, that's how I became really good friends with the Hobgoods and stuff too, because they were like best pals with Bobby. But
biggest legends, man.
Hobgoods,
like CJ was the...
Yeah, fuck man, I've been so lucky, and like even doing like boat trips with like Andy and shit. Like I've
really
shit
with Campaign.
Yeah, that was it was the start of Trilogy. I was filming for Trilogy.
Ah, true.
And then Stranger Than Fiction.
Fuck, that was peak AI Trilogy.
Like, fuck, I one year I shot the webcast with Billabong, like randomly, Chopu, but I was like, Billabong House with like Andy, Kyborg, Bruce, like being around all those guys, like I was super lucky to like travel and like get to hang out with some like absolute icons of the sport.
Bro, the fucking OGs, the underground... madman,
Yeah.
the high profile, but
Just
like underground at the same time.
Not real
maniacs.
characters, like just not real. Still, they're like, it's like they're floating on a cloud even when you're around them, you know what I mean? They were just like rock stars.
They were rock stars, and they were so like almost cartoonish. Like it was like, because the money was so big at that time, it like seemed to embellish their characteristics.
Yeah, it was
like, fuck man, traveling with Bobby would have been such an insight. What was that like? Because, you know, he's so fascinating. He's a one-of-one character. He's like this classic, like Southern Californian,
me and
Mexican
him are like
American.
yin and yang. You know, like I'm a fucking grom that's like wearing Subi, listening to electro, scoop neck tees and stuff. You know, like Boy Martinez for Ventura, just core like. Listening to Tupac and shit, like
listen to Tupac getting around in like fucking like lowrider
like
cars.
How could you pair up to like? But like it was simple. He was like. He just wanted to surf, make sure no one misses clips, and I was just chill. Like I just like read the room and just like we just get along. And he's super funny. He was fun to travel with. That was mellow. We got along well, and it was just like it was just surfing. He was on tour at the time. Like he was a funny guy. I did one thing he always used to spin me out on though was like he'd just fucking up and he'll probably tell a story later, but he was one of those guys when like he'd get knocked from a heat, up and leave, bang, gone. So I'm like in France with him and we're filming, trying to get clips for his movie. And then as soon as he gets knocked, he just left all his shit and boards and he'd just bail. Like, I'm out of here. Like, I don't want to be around this fucking contest anymore. Hated, didn't like the contest. Like,
true.
Don't think so. He was competitive, but I think he just wanted to. He's just a surfer. He just wants to surf. He's such a good surfer. Phenomenal surfer.
Oh
his
my
backhand
god, backhand's ludicrous. Those fucking just up and down like a fucking wind up toy on speed
I don't know
at
if you
Rincon.
can. You see similarities in like surfers from different generations. It's hard to pair Bobby with anyone.
True.
I don't think so. I don't know.
It's hard to think of anyone who was so fast and on rail backside.
Very fast. Yeah,
it's bizarre.
He's cool. He's a cool surfer. Like even in the films, like his parts, you'd just be like, fuck, he had hip hop and shit. Like it was just very different. Like it was sick to watch.
Totally. That's what I mean. Like those characters, whether it was like Bobby or Kobe or AI or the Hobgoods, they were such characters. They were so different from any kind of cookie cutter, like pro surfing, like clean skin. They were just fucking raw as.
Yeah.
And yeah, like, man, Bobby's a guy we just don't talk about enough. Like he was my hero as a kid purely because he represented something that I could kind of relate to, just a more urban, hip hop infused kind of, I guess that was the culture at the time. If you're from the city, I was from the city.
Yeah.
And yeah, just a fucking, like, he represented, like, he could have been in fucking Cypress Hill. Like,
100%. Like fucking the tats and shit. So intimidating.
His mates are all just like the classic, like,
fucking,
Mexican gangster style. Like, you're like, wait, like,
pulling up to a CT? That's the sickest.
Like, wait, this guy surfs? This is amazing. Yes. Finally, there's like some fucking not blonde haired dude from like
character.
Yeah.
Lift the characters. It's cool.
Yeah. And then, so like,
and just diverse backgrounds too. Like, seeing surfers from like different parts, like, and like different communities. And I think that's like, it's good to see. Like, not everyone's from like this surf town, that's just like born and bred, like, athletes from just churning them out. Like you want a bit of diverse like surfing. It's good.
Massively. It feels like it's gone a bit more that way. Like it's like there's kind of like a style and a more uniform culture. It feels like in surfing these days. Like I don't see a whole lot of like Bobbies or Bruces coming up, and like in some ways it's for the better because it turns out like that lifestyle, not Bobby so much, but like that kind of like party hard, surf hard lifestyle.
There's an expiry date on that shit.
Fucking
you know, like there's a point of where, you know, the balance of rockstar and just like it's not good. You know, like you still gotta show up and do your job and be a role model for like kids and you know, you can still be I think a character and like an influential character in surfing and you know, be gritty and visually listen to whatever you want, do whatever the fuck you want, surf however you want, but not fucking just smashing booze and drugs and like that shit's dated.
It's dated, it's lame.
It's not cool.
But yeah, grit is the word, and they do exist. Mikey Wright, Al Cleland Jr.,
they do.
Harry Bryant, like they're 100%. Out there.
They're fucking probably more so animals actually. Like but it's I don't know. I'm not as close to it as probably what you are, but it's that whole the curation side of like and they're just different, but like what's the surf media they're consuming? What are they watching? How are they consuming it? Is it getting them absolutely fizzing to just go surfing and do something different? I'm not sure. I know there's a lot of like frothing surfers out there, but I'm interested to see like how the Groms take on it these days.
Yeah, totally, man. And I can't let you leave without getting a fucking AI story out of you. That's crazy, dude. I can't believe in that world I didn't know that.
There's a few. I did I set the Tahiti trip with him. We did a boat trip to Mexico, which was
that was for Trilogy?
Yeah, not that session, but that was for Stranger Than Fiction. We got shithouse waves, but it was somewhat Vulcan funded. But all the clips were going to Taylor's movie, which was sick. Like that stuff used to happen. You just do Vulcan just pay for a boat trip and like, here you go, Taylor, here's all the clips. It was Bruce, Andy, Dusty Payne, Andrew Doheny.
Whoa.
There was some other
Bruce, Andy, and Dusty on one trip together.
Dusty was a Grom, and Doheny was like 15. Like,
fuck.
Yeah, so young. I was so young too. I felt like they were going pretty huge on the boat. I couldn't keep up. I was just bunkering down into my bed, making sure I wasn't missing clips. But I was there by myself filming. Like I got towed into these really big trips. Like, I felt like I was a bit of a Grom. I wasn't thinking at the time. I was like, fuck yeah, I'll nail this. Like, let's go to work sort of thing. But looking back, I was a baby. Like I was pretty young.
How old were you again?
Early 20s, which I felt like now doesn't seem, but I felt like I was pretty green, immature 20-year-old. Like it took me, still growing up, like it took me a few years of traveling and like getting, to grow up. So I was just purely just so green to the world. Yeah. And just experiencing all of this. Like,
dude, that's insane. Sharing space, like on a boat, you can't escape people.
Yeah.
And AI and BI are like fully running the ship. Like they're calling the shots. That would have been
they were ripping in. They were going hard, still surfing. Andy had a bit of a tweak back that trip. But I remember like a funny story, like when we were in Tahiti and I was playing poker with Kyborg, Bruce, Andy. It was like between events, they're all getting lit. And I was trying to lose. I was trying not to I was actually like, gosh, fuck, I didn't want to lose. I didn't want to like win a hand with Kyborg, you know what I mean? Like they just fucking sort me out. But over that poker game, we're having beers, and Andy kept calling me Mini Borg the whole trip. Because I was me and Kai, like, he's like, Mini Borg, it's your turn, like, Mini Borg. And I was just like, fuck, cool. And then Kai Borg was like, nah, bruh, it's not Mini Borg, it's Borgette. Call me Borgette. I was his little bitch. We shared a room together. It was good. But yeah, those guys were legends. Like, they were, to be honest, they were like super kind and rock stars, did their things. whatever they were doing behind the scenes, having big nights and whatever, they were like, yeah, I just remember they just would do them. They would never, I don't know, not like push anything on anyone or like have an agenda with anyone. They were just having fun and were just nice to be around and never like, I don't know, the big person, never, I don't know, you know how there's a bit of a like bully kind of Andy, like a bit ego, like he's just like rude and hectic. It's not the experience I had. He was a fucking really kind, like just legend to be around. Just did his thing, kept to himself, just wanted to surf good waves and just live like a rock star. Like, yeah.
Good call, man. Yeah, it seems like he only entered that dynamic with people he was a little bit threatened by, or
possibly competitive. I'm not competitive. I'm just as long as I don't miss a clip. Like, and I didn't miss any of their clips. I missed one of Dusty's on that boat trip, but I was pretty rattled. But he did like another 1,000 reverses after that, and Bruce was like, "Don't worry about it." Like, I'm like, all good.
And his surfing, man, like AI surfing.
Yeah.
Like, talk to us about like.
I've got this tape, mini DV tape, that I need to digitize. It's fucking in a drawer with a bunch of mini DV tapes, but it's all the free surfing. I think I was only one of the people that was shooting majority of the free surfing. It's in trilogy, the waves from the Rip Curl comp in Barra. Oh, where he's, you know, he's coming out at stand-up pits at Barra doing those rail turns, does that like air floater, like rock the fakey floater and crazy cones. Yeah, I shot all that stuff and it's probably sitting somewhere, but I reckon there's more footage and like a bunch of stuff that I can like bring back up and put on YouTube, I guess.
Oh my God, dude.
Yeah, it's just, I just got to fucking get to it one day. There's a whole drawer full of tapes. Like there was like 30 tapes from that trip. But I remember filming, I was like I swear I was one of the only people filming. Like, where is everyone? And he was just surfing so powerful, like that full Dane kind of very similar, those two. He's my favourite surfer by far, as I think I've been around a lot of surfers. I've filmed a lot of surfers, very different surfers, and I'm getting older too, so I just appreciating that hybrid of performance, aggression and power. Like, that's AI. Like, fuck.
And I don't think he had a better relationship with any other wave on earth than Barra. Like, he wins that comp, obviously, in 2006. And then the trilogy section, with Parko and Taj, is it?
Yep.
Fucking insane. Like
that was just before that event.
Was it?
Yeah.
You were there for that as well?
I wasn't there for that, but it was a few weeks before. The bank was just fucking ludicrous. Like, how good was it?
It's never been that good again.
Yeah, and like I remember like secrets sort of coming out, but they kept that under wraps for so long, like, which you can do like back then.
Yeah, amazing event. And man, finally, like, what now? Like, what's your kind of projects? How can we keep tabs on what you're doing?
Pretty reclusive. I mean, you see me because you see me around getting barreled because I'm like, well, trying to, because I'm a frothing surfer, like always will be. So still surfing, heaps, filming. I got 2 young kids, so I'm like, as any parent out there knows, I'm in that kind of hectic kind of whirlwind. My daughter's still only 1. So just navigating that. I'm still, charging with a Pocky. I'm working on a short film with Mikey February at the moment, which has been really fun working with Mikey. He's a phenomenal surfer, really cool guy, chill to work with. So we're going to do one more trip for that, which will be fun. I'm not sure where we're going to go, but he wants to get just some like good ripping. We might just like float around Indo and just get, I think you can, he's the sort of guy you just want to see in good waves, riding like the boards that he surfs, like twin fins. Everyone's buying twin fins again because of Mikey February. Like, I got one.
Yeah, Ando-esque, and funnily enough, like, both from South Africa originally.
Yeah.
Ando groomed from like kind of PE, but spent heaps of time with J-Bay growing up. Yeah, something about that joint, man.
But still love making things. I think I always will. Like, I definitely, still have a soft spot for like surf films and making surf films. I don't consume it as much anymore, but I think I've come to a point of just a crazy roller coaster of go, kind of had the gas like right down from Cluster and then into all the short films after that and building brands. There was definitely a period of burnout there where I was like, I need to take a step back. And that was paired at a time too where I was like working on commercial, trying to like do stuff outside of surf filmmaking, which was big wake up call too, but massive learning curve. So yeah, I will always be making things. I'm not sure what or where or how. So don't know where to keep tabs on me, mate. I don't really post shit anymore, or like, I mean, if I make something that I'm stoked on or proud on, I'll fire it up on Instagram for sure. So yeah, we'll see.
Sick, man. We'll just keep an eye out for that AI lost tapes on the.
I know. I mean, yeah. Once the kids give me 2 seconds and I got a few hours there to start digitizing that stuff, the lost tapes AI, it'll be mental.
Fuck, man. I watched some fucking genius whack together all of the ward stories on YouTube.
Yeah.
So it's like now like a fucking 3-hour single episode of ward stories.
Yeah.
It was like the Ken Burns of core.
Yeah.
Maybe something like that.
Yeah, dude.
Just get testimonies.
There needs to be some good core curating of content, like some channels, like
storytelling, like mixed in, like that. I feel like that's where surf films have kind of gone. Is like storytelling mixed in with amazing
100%.
surfing.
I mean, my films these days are like a mix. I like to try and bring in a lot of beauty in my work. That's just where I'm at, mixed with like core surfing. It's like core surfing with like, how far can I push like a cinema lens? But like that's, who was I talking to who just released? Oh yeah, it was like Harry's film. And I really like the formula. They released their like core film, and then after the fact, there was all like the behind the scenes stories.
Yeah, I loved that. You could do that. You would have all of that footage pretty much.
Well, I think what it does is it doesn't take away from like the actual just enjoying a surf film, premiering it. It adds to it, and there's a space for that. And then you like the film even more because you're like, fuck, I didn't know that. I didn't know that happened there. Rather than trying to mix them together, sometimes it just doesn't work. But like the separating the BTS, I love watching that shit.
I love watching that shit. It's the director's commentary, basically, of the film. That's kind of what it is. Like, and like I can remember like,
which would be fucking classic director's commentary. Working on a trip with Harry and Dave, like a couple of loony, like they're mad. Those two, mad. Not short of stories.
They're fucking so mad. Oh, sick, man. Well, plenty of good ideas. Thanks so much.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah.
Ew.